So I've read lots of forums online about people trying to do this, and it all seems very complicated, or there's always unnecessary steps. So I've found the way I did it was probably the simplest way you can. All that it requires is buying a replacement trunk release actuator motor assembly, this here, as well as a secondary key. And there's no need for any crazy wiring, it's all relatively simple. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Right, so the first thing we're going to start off with is the main part of this project, the actual trunk release actuator. So this is a photo. If you're watching this video, you probably have this actuator on your car right now. It doesn't have anything special, no motor or anything, it's just manual. And then this one looks a little bit different. This one is the one that actually has the physical motor in there with the gears that turn, move the latch, and which is all controllable obviously through an electrical impulse. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this one out and replace it with this one. So when you're looking to buy this or get it, you have to look for some key differences. The first one you'll notice is there is a line, like a zigzag line, coming down through here, down through the middle, which this one does not have. This is just a separation for the mechanics compartment here. Like if you were to take it off, you'd see the motor and everything in there. And then most importantly, this is the connector for it right here, the connector for the motor that we're going to be using to power our motor. As well as just some differences in shaping. Like you can see, this is more of an oval shape and it comes into a V here kind of thing, like that, while this one is a more solid curve. So the way you can get this from two ways pretty much. You can buy it online, assuming that you've made sure that it's this one with the motor that you're buying and not just a plain one. And the second way of getting one of these powered trunk release actuators is by going to the junkyard or a scrapyard and physically pulling this part off yourself. Now I recommend this way over buying it online because you know exactly what you're getting, or you can't accidentally order this one and have it not fit. You know that you're getting the proper one with the motor. So the way you can tell when you get to the junkyard, what you have to look for is a Honda Civic that is 2009 or newer, because Honda, for the Civic sedan models, all of the 2006 through 2008, all of them, despite trim levels, all of them had this plastic piece along the trunk that matched the color of the paint, and all of them had a keyhole. So it wasn't until 2009 that Honda offered having a power trunk release as an option. So when the Civic went through the facelift in 2009, this plastic piece turned to chrome, and this is when the differentiation happened. The EX and LX models, they came offered with the power trunk release, and the 2009 DX models, the base models, they had a chrome piece, but they still had the keyhole. So key thing to note here, what you're looking for is a 2009 Civic or newer that has this chrome piece, but it's a solid piece. It doesn't have a keyhole. So that way you know that this vehicle is equipped with the powered trunk release actuator, and you know that you can pull this one from here. And obviously when you open it up and you look at it, you'll be able to see that, yeah, okay, it has the connector and all the previous differences. So here's the other vehicle I found. It's a Acura CSX, which is pretty much the same as the Honda Civic. So the latch is going to work here. It's the exact same, as you can see, exact same construction. Oh yeah, as you can see, this one didn't have a rear end damage, so these screws, they just come out so much nicer because they're not rusted or anything. There we go, much different. They come out much more easily. And so now once you have these two screws out, the whole thing should just pop right off. Then you got still have to disconnect this main power cable right here. That's the signal to the actuator, like that. And then also this little cable in here for the input from the driver's footwell. Basically just kind of pull it off to the side here in between that little gap, kind of wiggle it out like that. There you go. And then finally for the two wires that go to the sensor. Okay, so here we are, 40 bucks later. I don't know how, it's really up to the discretion of the scrapyard person. He gave it to me he offered me 50 bucks, but I negotiated down to 40, so I still probably overpaid, but here we are. Right, now you've got your power trunk release, now it's time to buy your new key. I found the cheapest way to buy this new key is, I just bought it through eBay. I bought it online. In Canada, it is around 25 bucks, $26. You can buy it closer. It might be cheaper in the US. You just have to make sure, obviously, it has the third button. Just kind of buy it from a trusted seller. Otherwise, you could buy it from the dealership, which might be, if you don't trust, online. I believe I was quoted around $50 for a new key. So then, whichever way you choose, you bring the physical key to them, and you might have to convince them to do this for you because they might get fussy, because the VIN number that on your car is, it comes up as one of these keys with two buttons, but anyway, you have to tell them that you want to program this one. They'll let you know that it might not work, but just tell them to go ahead and do it. So this is how much it cost after cutting and programming. In Canadian dollars, after taxes, it was that much. So bring it to them, get it dealer programmed. Unfortunately for the 8th generation Honda Civic, it is not possible to program the key to the car yourself, unfortunately, which is very frustrating because some previous model CRV models and whatnot, you could do it yourself, but unfortunately for this one, the only way to do it is by going to the dealer and having them do it there. Alright, so now that we've covered our two parts, let's get into how to actually install it. Okay, so for the next step, what you're going to need is just an average ratchet and a 10mm socket, preferably with an extension so you can reach in behind the seats. First of all, what we're going to want to do is move both the front seats forward because it gives us so much more working room. And then maybe tilt this one forward. Alright, so now in the back seat, we're first going to remove this bottom seat part, which is held on by two bolts. We look right in here, there's one right there. That's right in below the seatbelt buckles, and then the other one right in there. So we're going to want to remove both those bolts. Alright, so now our back seat should just come right off. Here at the bottom we have these clips that just pop off like that. And then one on this side, and this whole bottom cover for the seat just comes right out. Alright, so the wire connector we're looking for, it is right behind here, so we still have to remove this back piece. But to do that, we just have two bolts, one on either side. We've got one right here, right down below there, as well as one on the opposite side, right down there. So we're just going to undo those. Alright, so now we can just lift this one up, but first I suggest it's easier if you put these seatbelt buckles, if you bring them all the way up, and this middle seatbelt, you gotta just slide it through this little slot here, just like that. You kind of pull it out, and leave it to the side. It's easier to pull this backing off that way. So the best way to do this is sort of to squat down right over here, facing this, so that you can get both your arms underneath the sides here, so that you can use your legs sort of to lift it upwards, up this way, and then using that it can pull up towards you like this. Just like that. This is up enough. You can pull it towards yourself. And the other side as well. Now this is free. Okay, now you've got it off the hooks. To get these seat belts off, you can just bring them off to the side, and this one's kind of, the middle one is kind of wrapped around us, so you can kind of just take it out like this, and then just slide this whole back piece right out. Alright, so on the driver's side of the vehicle, here we have the connector. This runs from the front of the car, goes in here, through this connector, and this already goes into the trunk. This is all your brake lights, your rear turn signals, and included is our trunk release wire, one of these. So an easier way, this clip is sort of held on to the back. What you want to do is slide it this way. That kind of snaps it out, and then like that. It kind of is held on to this little track right here, so you just kind of slide it off for easier access. So now we can go right over here. So now this side is all up. We can push this little tab down here, and these two connectors can just separate like that. Yeah, so as you can see, the blue one goes to the blue one, and the gray one to the gray one. However, we see the green one, it doesn't actually go anywhere, it goes to a blank. As you can see, there is a pin, that's the third one right there. But then on the inside of this connector, there's a blank slot right there. So you can see there's no metal contact, so there's no pin that goes to the trunk release. So what we're going to do, we can flip it around the back, and we can see this green one, the third green one, the one after the blue one, the dark forest green one on the back side. What we're going to do is we're going to pull it out of there, and we're going to plug it into this hole so that it can connect with this dark green one. So it will go in here, and then we will just pull it out from the back here, and we will transfer it over into this new hole right here. And to get access to it, we have to pull back this plastic like this. We have to pull it down. In the same process, in the same fashion, we just go like this. We kind of hit it at the corners right here, and to slide that right down. And on the back side, we do the same thing. Just go like that. We just slide it downwards. And like that. So now carefully what you want to do is you want to slightly remove this plastic here, just to get it at the corner here, boop, and then it just kind of comes off like that, this protective plastic. We do the same on this side. We just kind of pry it up from the side. And just like that. And this whole thing comes right off. So now we have access to the pins. Alright, so removing the pin is a little tricky, but I have this, what you need is like a sharp tool. I have this convenient little 90-degree pick. What you want to do is pretty much, you'll try to get a good view in there. You want to push this little plastic piece, you want to sort of push it inwards, and then put in the metal, just sort of, the metal connector pin just sort of comes out like that. And you can kind of pull it out like this. Alright, so I find the best way is, now that you have it loose, kind of wrap it around this way to the other side. And now putting it in this way, you want to make sure it's in the same orientation you pulled it out of. And then just put it into the pit, into the hole right next to the gray one. Just like that. You obviously want to make sure that it clicks into place. There you go. Now give it a slight tug to make sure it's in there. There we go. Perfect. Alright, so now we just do all the steps backwards. In reverse, I mean. So we can see these are a little bit different. This one with the this piece in the center, it goes on to it lines up with the one with the where the prong is here. So what's easiest is you get one side on first. You kind of get it snapped in place. And then the other side will just naturally follow like that. And now you can slide it back down like that. And we'll do the same on the other side. And now you can see when we connect these two back together, snap those in place, we can see there's a continuation between this green one goes in here from the front of the car, and it goes out to here, connects, and it goes into the trunk. And if you want, slide the whole connector just right back onto the track, just like that, so that it doesn't dangle around. So now we're going to do, now that we have the wiring ready, when we push the unlock button, there's a signal coming to here. So now what we're going to do, we're going to get our trunk release that we pulled from the junkyard or wherever, and we're going to replace the old one here. Right, so here I have the new actuator. This is the one with the motor, and I actually dropped it, and for me the cover actually just fell right off. This is how the interior is worked. These are the three connectors to the motor, and this switch is, it's some kind of switch from the other vehicle, but we don't need to use it, so we're not even using that pin, and so the connector just connects right into there, and I'll show you in a sec. And as you can see, we saw some wires coming out here earlier, but I just snipped those off for practicality. So easy enough to do. We've already done this if you pulled it yourself, but pretty much we just have the two screws right over here. Alright, so here we are in the back, and we're going to look at this connector right here. I've already kind of gone and done the work a little here, but I'll explain what I did. So this is the connector that's held on right there in the little, whatever this blank thing is. And pretty much what we're going to do, this connector has a plastic piece that kind of holds the pins in place. And what we're going to do, we want to remove it like this. As you can see, the pins already fell out. But we're going to remove it, just like we did in the previous connectors. It's the same principle. It comes off on the sides, and this plastic piece broke off for me, so you don't really need it. And as you'll see, these two pins will be in here. The green and black ones will be plugged in. For me, it was right like that. So basically what we want to do, we want to follow the same process as we did with the interior connector. We want to pop them out. Yeah, so as you can see here, I just have the wires connected roughly. So the green one has to be on the, depends how you look at it, has to be on the outermost pin, and the black ground wire has to be on the center pin. So now pretty much as you can see, this is how it's supposed to be. The connector, we just have the wires connected to it like this, and so we're going to put them back in the connector like this. So the black wire is going to be in the center, and the green wire is going to be right on the outside, on this side here. So that way once we plug it in, it will work. So basically when we're putting the connector back, this is what we should see. This is from this side. We have the green one going, the black one's always in the center, and the green wire is going on this left side. If you look at it from here like this, the green one goes into the left, and we just push it in until we hear a click. And now once you've got these wires in place, don't forget about this little plastic cover that goes on it, the one that came off. Pretty much just snaps in like that, and I know it's broken, but it holds, so it works, right? There we go. So yeah, and to put it back in, we do the exact same way as we pulled it out. As we pull the old one out, we just position this one back in so that these holes line up here for the screws. And then we're gonna also not forget to get this cable here. We want to mount it to the hole right there. There we go. So that we can have still the manual trunk release from the inside of the car. So now we will simulate to make sure. I haven't put the two screws back on yet, but we've put it in. And just to test it out, we will simulate the trunk closing. Put it in, pull the tab, and the screwdriver comes out. Alright, so now that we've got the new actuator installed, all's well and done, right? Well, not quite. Now as you can see, when you try to put the connector, plug it in, it's actually too short, because it wasn't meant to go here. Luckily this isn't too big of a problem, and all we have to do is we just go to this clip here, squeeze the two sides gently, and push it inwards like that. Push it up. This way this releases this whole line of cables, so it's easier to move, and we can just pretty much pull it upwards, almost. And we also have to grab this one on the other side. We just push it up. Now I know this might be a little bit unorthodox, but it works, right? It gets the job done, and gives our cable the proper length, just enough to plug into our actuator right here. There we are. Perfect. And it has just a little, just for good measure, we might as well pop this one out too, so there's, to avoid any tightness. Now this way there's almost no tension on this cable here. There we go. And these just dangle, so it's really fine. Alright, so the final product, as you can see, I've gone ahead and replaced the plastic with the nice new chrome without the keyhole, so it just looks nicer. But obviously you don't have to do that. You can just, by completing this project, you will still have your keyhole, and it will still function. This way you'll have 3 ways of opening the trunk. So, but I just like the way this looks, so let's see how she works. Beautiful. As you can see, I still have to get my rear view camera attached, but works perfectly. I believe if you have the same transmitter as this, or if the system works the same way, you can actually double tap the button as well, and then it will open the same way. So either you hold the button or you just double click it, and there you go. You have your remote powered trunk release. As you can see, it all looks perfectly like it never, no differences. Alright, thanks for watching.